When you go fishing, does it look more like fishing or does it look more like catching? Let's talk about that. So 2 weeks ago, I introduced the New Life Plan for Discipleship. And this is just kind of a diagram that shows what we think New Lifers do to become who they were meant to be. We didn't talk very much about that funnel at the top that kind of explains how people are introduced to the plan of discipleship. So I kind of want to do that here at the beginning of the video, just so you know what our plan is. So here is the come as you are formula. Step 1, encounter. And encounter can be anything from I saw an ad at the movie theater, I got a flyer, somebody told me about it, I saw a post on Facebook. In some way they encountered New Life, and hopefully they liked what they saw or liked what they heard. And if they do, they take the next step, and that next step is explore. 90% of the people who attend New Life or who look into New Life do so by going to the website. So 90% of you went to our website before you ever stepped foot in our doors. And so that's a very important part of it, but explore can also be, I talked to somebody I know that goes there, or I called the church to get more information. Then if they like what they find out there, they take the next step, and the next step is evaluate. Evaluation is their first visit to the church. This is when we are tested. And studies show us that most people decide if they're going to return to New Life or not in their first 7 minutes of their visit. And so if people don't return or not, you can't blame me because they didn't even hear me talk yet. It's all of your jobs to make sure that they like what they see in the first 7 minutes. It's all of our jobs to make sure they like what they see in the first 7 minutes so that they return. And then finally, if we pass the test of their first visit, then they engage. And that's everything from a second visit to taking the Engage membership class to volunteering. In some way, they took a next step to become a part of the discipleship that happens at New Life. And because of this formula and because of the way we carry out this formula, there's a lot of people who go to New Life, who come to church, who would not normally be church people. And so we're very intentional about the way that we present ourselves to these people. And often when we say things like come as you are or belong before you believe, there is an accusation that follows that up that says you're not a very deep church, or whatever that means. But we think services don't have to be shallow to be evangelistic. We think we can accomplish both of these tasks at the same time. We can be real while we nudge people toward Jesus. We don't have to adopt a premillennial dispensational theology of this zealot, justice-minded theology with deep language in order to be deep. We believe that you can take the things that we teach, put them into practice to create and to build deep roots. Our weekend services do focus a lot on evangelizing those people who are far from God. But I guarantee you that if you apply the things that we teach on Sunday mornings, you will begin to become who you are meant to be. You will begin to put down those deep roots in your faith. So I'd like for you to take a few moments to discuss your journey of becoming, your journey to begin this plan of discipleship. And then, so answer question number 1, stop here, and then we'll come back. So the next story we talked about on Sunday morning was the story of Peter deciding to follow Christ. Peter took some very important steps that would eventually lead him to become a follower of Christ. In this case, a fisher of men, or it's a similar illustration to what we're calling nudging. He inconvenienced himself by letting Jesus use his boat so that he had more room to teach more people. Then he went back out to fish when everything inside of him was saying, this is a dumb idea. I've done this a ton of times. This is not how we fish. This is not when we fish. But he trusted Jesus. He took those inconvenient steps and he decided to trust Jesus. Then after he had listened to Jesus' teaching, and that's a very important step in the process, he heard Jesus, and hearing Jesus' teaching, he realized who Jesus was. And he was overwhelmed by his brokenness, his own brokenness, his own need for forgiveness. And Jesus didn't spend all his time pointing out all the reasons why Peter needed forgiveness. He didn't spend all his time pointing out Peter's flaws, but he showed him a better way. and Peter's conscience did the rest, and it led him to be broken before Jesus and to eventually become a follower of Jesus who would follow him his entire life. So answer questions 3 and 4 concerning that story, and then I will see you Sunday at church.